I just shoot the video down here? Hi everyone, I am back in my little corner and I'm here to tell you about something kind of exciting. So while I was online shopping looking to find replacements for my tried and trusted Sharpie brush pen, I came across something interesting. I came across none other than a new Posca pen that I don't know if it's new, but it's new to me. Therefore, it's new. Also, sorry if you hear a bird. So I found this Posca PCF 350 and it the tip kind of looks like that. I don't know if you can really see that. But it's a liner type brush tip, which is exactly what my Sharpie is. And I'm here to do a scientific experiment. And it's not really scientific, but it is an experiment. I want to see which pen is better. Now, you might be asking yourself, Tara, you found the love of your life in the Sharpie brush pen. Why are you shopping around? Why are you looking for a new Posca pen? And let me tell you, the Sharpie brush pen, as much as I love it, it has some issues. Now, later in the video, I will get more into the pros and cons of each of these pens, but I just want to see which one is better, which one serves my purpose more, and I thought I'd share it with you since so many people, especially on my TikTok, want to know what pen I'm using. I might have a fun little alternative that might just be better. So stick around, watch this video, and let's jump into comparing the Posca pen versus the Sharpie brush pen. Let's go!
So this is the canvas that we are going to be working on. It's a fun little pumpkin tree stained glass window. And we're starting on the Sharpie brush pen side. Now I want to start talking about the pros of the Sharpie brush pen. I've been using it for almost 2 years now, so I would say I am quite experienced with this pen. One thing that I love about this pen is that even though it is a Sharpie, it does not have the Sharpie smell, which I know is something that can be very bothersome to some people. So luckily this pen, you can't smell it. I have used this pen on a lot of my acrylic paintings, so I'm happy to report that it works well on them and it does not separate the paint, which I know sometimes paint pens can do that, but luckily the Sharpie brush pen does not. I also love that the brush tip is consistent and it doesn't fray out. I get kind of nervous when I have these brush tips because if you put the cap on incorrectly, it might damage the brush. But luckily, Sharpie brush pen does not sustain that kind of damage easily. At least that is in my experience. Now, if you're jamming your pen into the cap, you might have a different experience. But if you're like me who just normally puts a cap back on a pen, you shouldn't run into any issues. And finally, the last pro is that it is super easy to control. I have never had an issue of the tip of the pen kind of going out of the line that I want it to. I just have a really easy time holding it, and I think that is very important, especially when you really want precise lines. Having that ability to control your pen is fantastic. Now, there are some cons to the Sharpie brush pen, one of it being it's not incredibly long lasting. I find that one pen kind of lasts as long as it takes me to do one painting, and that is because the tip firmness wears out fast. So if you're going to use this pen, make sure to do the detailed sections first. It does have a shininess, and I would prefer my pens to be matte when they dried, but this is something I kind of overlooked because I love this pen. And sometimes it needs a couple layers to be opaque. And finally, my last con is that it's a little hard to find online. Usually I'm able to get it through Amazon, and sometimes I can find it in stores at Michael's, but recently I have found it's getting more difficult to find, and that is not the best sign. So here is one side done with the Sharpie brush pen, and now we're going to have a satisfying tape peel. Look at that, love that. And now we are moving on to outlining the left side with the Posca pen. This is what the tip looks like. It is a bit thicker than the Sharpie brush pen, and you can see it's a bit more feathery. Now, this is my very first time using this Posca pen, so my opinions might change over time the more that I use it, but I thought it might be good to just give you guys my first impressions. So here are some of the pros that I found with this pen. Number one being it is super black. Like, I was a little shocked to see how opaque it was right off the bat, and that was fantastic to see. Like I mentioned before with the Sharpie brush pen, sometimes one layer is not enough to get that black line, but I find with the Posca pen, I had no issues with that. It was super opaque first swipe. I mentioned before with the Sharpie brush pen that sometimes you need a few layers for it to get opaque, but I don't think you're going to have that kind of problem with this Posca pen. The paint is also super smooth and it dries matte, which is something that the Sharpie pen does not do. I have used Posca pens before just with a different type of tip, and I always loved the type of paint that comes out of it, but I was never a huge fan of the tips. And that is why I actually switched to the Sharpie brush pen, because I really preferred the brush type tip over the typical Posca pen one. And another thing just to mention that this pen also works well on acrylics and does not separate the paint underneath. Now there are some cons. This tip can fray easily. I found that I had a very easy time just putting the cap back on the pen and causing some form of destruction to the brush bristles. I know I mentioned that the Sharpie brush pen can do the same, but I do believe that the Sharpie is more durable than the Posca pen in that regard. Another con is that this pen is not as easily controllable without practice as the Sharpie brush pen is. I think that in order for my lines to be more smoother and more straight, I would have to really practice with this pen. The brush tip has a little bit of a mind of its own, and that's okay. I think with practice, it can be controlled easier. Here's another little con. I'm trying to show you that sometimes the paint doesn't always go through the little bumps, so you'll get little white bumps coming up from underneath, but that's just a small little con. And this could be a pro or con, but you have to pump the pen to get more ink. So take that as you will. Some people might like that, some people might not. But here's what the painting looks like up close. So here are my final thoughts after going through the pros and cons of each pen. I love them both. And I know that probably isn't the conclusion you were hoping for, but I do genuinely love them both. To be honest, I still think with my commission work, I'm going to be using my Sharpie brush pen. And that's just because I have more experience with it. I know how it's going to work for me. But then on paintings that I am doing just on the side to create more designs, I think I might use the Posca pen more just so I can get more practice with it and start to become more comfortable with it. And honestly, if I get better with this Posca pen, because I do think I need to practice a little bit with it, I might switch over and use this instead of the Sharpie brush pen. And I know that is quite blasphemous to say, but you know, I really like this pen. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed that little video, and I hope that maybe you know which pen you like more. Is it the Posca pen? Is it the Sharpie pen? Let me know down below. And also, if you enjoyed watching me outline this fun little painting, I will let you know a little secret. This is actually the design for my November Patreon. So if you want a print of this, sign up for my Patreon. It'll be linked in the bio, and you can get that as a print or as a sticker. The pumpkins are the stickers. I put the little pumpkins together, made that the sticker. But anyways, I will see you guys around in the next video, whenever that's gonna be, since I'm doing pretty well with this once a month type deal. That's the end of the video. I'm stopping talking now. Have a good rest of your October. Bye.